Chris Sewall here, baseball card collector, investor, dealer, in that order. Welcome, everyone. Today, going to run through some of the more bizarre sports cards throughout history, at least that I'm aware of. And some of these are just sort of silly photos. Others have interesting themes. Some have some, inappropriate stuff going on. And then, some just have some interesting stories behind it. So, yeah, going to run through a bunch of them here today. Hope everybody enjoys. All right, we'll start with the 1989 Pro Cards Keith Comstock. This is a minor league card and essentially a common, but you can see Keith there getting hit in the man parts with a baseball. Now, this is a posed photo, so the pain he is showing on the picture is just an acting job. This card has no business being worth anything. It's a common from, junk wax era minor league set. Should be worth a nickel, but actually sells pretty high because of the silly photo. A recent raw copy went for $60 on eBay. Jumping back to 1972. 1972 Topps Billy Martin, all-time great manager, and known for being a bit of a hothead or being edgy, we'll say. And this card supports that as he is giving all of us the middle finger, and we see that on a number of cards throughout the years. Here's Leon Washington being a little less subtle about it, giving us two middle fingers. Frank Thomas gives us one in the 1991 Upper Deck set, but that will not be his only time giving us the middle finger, as he does it again in the 1994 Stadium Club set. Moving away from inappropriate stuff for a bit and look at some sillier cards, although I promise we have more inappropriate cards coming up later in the video, but going to go with an animal theme for the next few examples here. 1984 Fleer Glenn Hubbard. He has a large snake wrapped around his neck. Is that a boa constrictor? I don't know my categories of large snakes, but yeah, it looks like a party. Philly Fanatics dancing in the background. 1991 Studio Steve Lake. For no apparent reason, he has a parrot on his shoulder. 1996 Upper Deck Collector's Choice Rex Hudler. On the back of the card, Rex is milking a cow on the baseball field for whatever reason. And this hockey card from 1998 UD Choice Dean McCammond. He is laying on a snowmobile and feeding some deer in the snow. Exactly what I think of when I think of hockey. Going back in time to look at some vintage examples, the 1951 Bowman baseball set is one of the most important sets of all time. Features the rookie cards of Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, and others. And it's a really beautiful set. Like, the artwork is meant to be photorealistic. If you look at the Yogi Berra on the left, beautiful portrait image of Yogi, and look at the Larry Doby on the right. Really nice in-action image and a lot of detail in the background. But there's one card in this set where they didn't bother at all with the photorealistic aspect of it, and that is Paul Richards, who just has this cartoonish, goofy image, which does not fit at all with the rest of the set. Not sure why Bowman did Paul dirty back in 1951, but yeah, they absolutely did. 1966 Topps, you got Claude Raymond. It's actually a pretty valuable high number, but Claude forgot to zip up his fly, as you can see there in the photo. It may have been done on purpose, because in 1967, the Claude Raymond card has the exact same issue. Here's a football example, 1964 Philadelphia Jim Brown, and I mean, why is he out in the parking lot? Like, Jim Brown, all-time great player. Why are we taking photos of our superstar athletes for their football cards out in the parking lot? And this one always makes me laugh for some reason. 1971 Topps Dennis Kearns. I'm not a photographer, although my dad was, so I know a little bit about photo composition, but the cropping or the spacing of this photo was not done at a professional level. All right, back to some inappropriate stuff, and this is probably the most famous baseball card error of all time. 1989 Fleer Billy Ripken. And there's various variations of the card, but this is sort of the main error. On his bat knob is written a 4-letter F word followed by face, and it's very, very clear to read if you have the card in hand. This card is just a junk wax era common. Now, the error is rarer than the corrected version, but the error is actually still fairly common. Yet it sells for big bucks because of being such a famous error. Here's a PSA 10 that recently went for close to $800. The Billy Ripken's the famous bat knob card, but just a year later there was another similar case. 1990 Pacific Legends Jim Nettles, on his bat knob is written a 3-letter A word followed by hole, and very, very, again, very easy to read if you have the card in hand. This card is just a oddball card from the junk wax era of a common, has no business being worth anything, but because of the bat knob actually can sell for decent money. Here's a PSA 10 that recently sold for $200. All right, back to some sort of silly cards or silly images, and there are a lot to choose from for this video, so if people really enjoy this, let me know in the comments, and I could very easily make a round two. But 1986 Fleer Mickey Hatcher, he's just got this massive glove for whatever reason. I don't know the story behind that, but this is a common card from, basically the junk wax era. This should be worth a nickel, at most, but it actually sells for a few dollars because people really enjoy this card and the image, and it can actually be kind of tough to find at times. I want to talk about Pinnacle for a sec. Pinnacle started in 1992 with baseball, and they were pretty straightforward with their photography, basic in-action stuff, or portraits, but in the middle of the decade, around the mid-90s, they started sprinkling in just really bizarre images in some of their photos. You can see the Ken Griffey Jr. has got this massive bubblegum bubble. Frank Thomas is just stepping onto the field like a god. The Frank Thomas is not in line with any other images from the set. And then the Bob Hamlin is sort of the silliest on the right. He's holding up a piece of paper with his name on it, Bob Hamlin. Well done, Bob. Steve Finley really liked that thing that Bob Hamlin did, so he did it for his 1996 scorecard, holding up a piece of paper saying Steve Finley. This 1995 Collector's Choice Chuck Carr is one of the more curious photos you'll see. Not sure exactly what Mark Grace is doing there, but Chuck seems to be enjoying it. Rex Hudler featured again, second time in the video here. 1995 Stadium Club, and in this photo he seems to really be enjoying this pole. 1993 Stadium Club, Oscar Azakar. He seems to be really enjoying his baseball bat. 1993 Upper Deck Mike Perez. He is actually holding a 1993 Upper Deck Mike Perez card in his hand. But if the photographer is taking the photo while he's holding the card, how is that even possible? That's some serious Twilight Zone stuff going on there. In the early 2010s, Topps did a bunch of pie in the face variations. They were pretty rare and obviously very fun. Here's an Ian Kennedy who just got a pie in the face. Basketball example, not sure what the story is on this one. 1996 Upper Deck Wesley Person. He's underwater. Person can drain jumpers in any kind of element is written on the card, so I guess that sort of goes in line with the photo. 1992 Bowman Baseball got very interesting with their photographs of prospect players, putting a lot of them in street clothes. Here's three examples. Mariano Rivera on the left, Cliff Floyd dunking a baseball in the middle, and Chipper Jones standing in front of a cactus on the right. The Mariano Rivera is the only rookie card of the greatest reliever of all time. It's one of the most important cards of the 1990s. It's sort of a funny image for that to represent a baseball player. And we'll finish on Inappropriate. Two cards featuring imitations of the male reproductive anatomy. First, we're going non-sports. 1977 Star Wars C-3PO, card number 207. This is actually the corrected version. The error version features an additional extension, which really changes the context of the card. Here they are side by side, the corrected version on the left and the error on the right. I'm not sure what happened here. I think an employee of Topps did this as a joke maybe, but I don't know how this possibly got out. But the error is actually quite valuable. Mid-grade copy, PSA 5, recently sold for $250 on eBay. In similar vein, 1990 Pro Set Fred Marion. And if you don't see it right away, look a little bit harder, no pun intended. The player falling over on the left has his belt in sort of an interesting position. And this actually got corrected. You can see the corrected version where the belt was airbrushed out on the left, the error, of course, on the right. Now, this is, again, a common from the junk wax era. This is basically should be worth nothing or, a nickel. But because of the funny image, it actually sells quite well. A recent raw copy sold for $42. But that's it for now. Just some bizarre and strange and at times inappropriate sports cards throughout the years. Hope everybody enjoyed. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot more examples I could do with this. So if people really enjoy this, let me know in the comments and I can look into making a part 2. But see you all again next time and eat your vegetables. Thanks, everyone.